midlife crisis. Such a fascinating time in someone's life. It's a really, in a way, a return to youth for a little while. So I wrote some haikus reflecting this idea. Matchbox cars light up. Silver anniversary. Good morning. So a matchbox has this beautiful imagery of being like a match that lights up. It could be kindling. It could light up your face. It could be... So matchbox cars, my parents used to go on vacation, come back, they'd bring me matchbox cars, and I was, wow, that was awesome. I got a very fast Lamborghini. Okay, so that resurfaces at the midlife crisis. You have to have the Lamborghini. Get a Tesla, it's cheaper. They go just as fast. Okay, that's not I'm not getting paid for them. Good morning. I'm not, they don't sponsor my haikus, right? So matchbox cars, they light up, but that's the silver anniversary. Do you ever buy yourself an anniversary gift? Doesn't that defeat the purpose? But that's what people do, right? You gotta treat yourself, because nobody's gonna buy you any gifts ever, okay? Okay, so you buy yourself the dreams of your youth. Good boy, so it says like, why is youth wasted on youth? You know, the guy with the balding hair, white hair, that's the guy who's driving the Porsche convertible, right? Not the kid who has the matchbox. And the guy with the kid with the matchbox is happier with his matchbox car than the guy with the balding guy with the Lamborghini. Of course, that's obvious. So an older boy kicks at the sand castles. It's always the cynical voice that tells the child, his younger brother, right? Your sandcastle's just sand. So you're kicking at the sand or the sand castle. The older boy's teaching the younger boy, it's just sand. It's not real. When I get older, I'm gonna drive a Lamborghini and be bald. Okay, I'm not making fun of bald people. I'm just trying to set an image, because that's the way it is. I mean, when do you have the resources? But so why are we given the resources at that stage in our life? And why not as a child? Why don't you have a real Lamborghini? It's like a dress rehearsal or non-dress rehearsal. You don't have to wear any clothes as a child, right? It's a dress rehearsal for when you do have resources. It's not just sand. So I'm learning about stones, and Tanya speaks about Evan today. And look up what it means, because it's incredible. I'm totally late. I don't really have time to go through these topics in the way that I really wanted to. But it took me on a search. It took me on a quest, rather. And then it led me back to the Alter Rebbe's Shir Shirim, because it referenced it in the Tanya that I was learning this morning. It speaks about a stone, how that's created from the letters Aleph, Ban. Evan is Aleph, Ban. So Ban is a name of godliness. I think it has to do with drawing godliness into the world. It's sparks of holiness in the world that you have to elevate through the kayach of Ma. These are ways you spell God's name. Yud-Kei-Vav-Kei, okay? The Tetragrammaton, that's spelled out because each letter is spelled out in Gematria, and this is where people tune out. I realize that. But Tanya brings out something so beautiful about this whole process. That it tells you that the whole purpose of the concealment is so that there can be a finite world, so you could exist, etc. So you could have that matchbox car and be, wow, lit up. So an Evan is the mineral, it's a stone, it's the lowest level. But in it, it has Shem Ban, 52 is the Gematria of Shem Ban, the name of God. Spelt out, I don't know, with olives, I think. The Hay's are spelled out differently with the hey aleph, or hey. What are the other combinations? The Kubalim have to help me with that easy one. So the Rebbe points out, what's the aleph doing there? If it's 52, it's all about 52. What's the aleph? The aleph is extra, and it comes from another place. It comes from Shema. There's a kayach of ma, of deference in there. The chokhmah that allows you, the kayach ma, power of what? Of understanding, of using wisdom. to bring it into the world and therefore interact with the world in a proper way and have Kerach's experience, the Keteris, the Keter, Katar, Kuf Tes Reish, which means bound to God, tied in and not to God. One, there's total oneness at the level of incense. That's the level where the jewelry that you wear, the Kohen Gadol was decked out, okay? Decked out. His clothes are made out of gold, partially. I mean, a lot of his clothes. And Korach was a wealthy person. He appreciated the physicality of the world, and he wanted godliness there. He thought he learned from the Meraglim, etc. I spoke about that yesterday. So what are fine stones? It speaks about it in Shir Shirim of the Alter Rebbe. It will take me like an hour and a half to do this properly. It's beautiful. I should read this inside. It's so beautiful. And it took me quite a while this morning. That's one of the reasons why I'm late. To understand this a bit, but it quotes a beautiful verse. The image is so beautiful. Talk about matronissa, navu lachecha beterim. Your cheeks. I'm just translating this off the cuff. Are terim. We'll see what that means. It's a type of jewelry. They're beautiful. Your cheeks are beautiful with terim. It's a type of jewelry. Tzavarecha v'chruzin. Your neck is beautiful with like a pearl necklace or a necklace with precious gems on it. So these things, these images that are so beautiful in the physical world, which is Kerach wanted to reveal like godliness there in the beauty of the physicality of the world, at the top level, in the Beis Hamikdash, in the most glorious place, the palace of earth, the place where you represent all the royalty and majesty and sanctity in the world in one place, where a king is allowed to sit. Only a king, Shemalchus Beis David, from the Davidic line, can sit in the Holy Temple, because he embodies kingship, the kingship of God in the world. That's off topic. So it gives this beautiful image of what terim are, this type of jewelry that, I guess they'd have like chains and like precious stones on their face, the matronissa. And especially in Shir Shirim, when we're talking about the Kala, the Jewish people are embodied by a Kala in the allegory of Shir Shirim, Song of Songs. So terim are, the word ter means ox. This is a reference to Reish Ter, the head of an ox or a bull. There's different names for jewelry in Hebrew in the Talmudic terms that they use like words to refer to types of jewelry. Like, what was it called about Yerushalayim Shel Zahav? I mean, Rabbi Akiva brings back the second time when he returns to his wife Rachel, I believe her name was that, he gave her a Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. It had like the silhouette of Yerushalayim in gold. Okay, jewelry is very important in understanding Torah imagery. It appears many places, especially here, which I don't have time to do this today. It's unfortunate. I'm already so late. But just a little bit more, at least this idea in some, broad paint strokes of this idea, to get this image, to feel what real wealth is, the wealth of the Torah, the wealth of being happy with what you have, and the wealth of sufficing with Torah. Okay, if you have nothing else, the Torah is free now. It's available to everybody. Just make that your wealth. So when we speak about this is the wealth that you could really appreciate in all ways, and it's completely holy. So Reish Ter is a type of jewelry that was threefold, and it gives the idea, it immediately segues into a segel, the dots on the Hebrew letters that appear as 2 dots above and 1 below, which become a huge metaphor for everything, okay? Everything, this mimer is all about that. And there's 2 ways it can be formed. Either the dots below or above, because it's the flip side from God's perspective. And then there's a zachar and a keva, there's a masculine and feminine, and always there's a flip side, which becomes very complicated, because sometimes I think they're equal and sometimes they're reflexive, and that needs to be looked into a bit. I know it's abstract and difficult concept. So the 3 levels, I'm not going going to be able to get into this properly. I really want to get into this. Tomorrow I'll be into something else, so that's the problem. I can't get into the whole idea of what the 3 is. That will take more time. It will take too much time to really explain that properly. I want to just touch on some of these jewelry ideas because we're talking about, I don't know, silver anniversaries and things like that, and midlife crises. So jewelry is, does a man desire to have a nice signet ring or something? No, I don't know. It's just a Lamborghini. You have to put in modern terms to really understand what the Torah is talking about. So it contrasts the jewelry on your face, which is symbolized by 3, with a pearl necklace or something like that, that has gems pierced through and strung together with a chut mavriach min hakatza lakatza, with the attribute of Jacob, Yaakov Avinu, who is like the rod that extends through the holy sanctuary, goes through the whole thing. It's a one rod that goes through the middle of the entire wall of the sanctuary in the desert. That's Yaakov attribute. Tiferes, beauty. Beauty is what unifies. You have all these stones, these precious gems, which are letters, okay? That's why we're talking about stones. In Kabbalah, stones are letters. So we were talking about Evan and the significance of the Aleph borrowed from a different name of God. Okay, it's very complicated, I know. We don't like complex things. But when we're speaking about stones, we're speaking about letters. And letters has to do with concealment, so that you can experience something in a way that you won't be obliterated, you know, like the pinky finger burning you up. So it's funny, I found a contradiction in this, okay? And that's always where the most depth is, because it means you have to be forced to understand it. In the first part of the mind, it says, you're not supposed to make a vacuum. Shaloi lasais chalol. That's what it means. Leisa chalol is shem kodshi. Do not make chalol, desecrate my holy name. So the word desecrate means a vacuum. Don't make your life vacuous. So that vacuum reappears later in the Maimer. It says, Tzarich lasais makom chalol. You have to make a vacuum. Okay, you gotta love that. Mine obey. In the same Maimer, a direct contradiction. But it immediately gives a different meaning for this. Okay, these are the 2 aspects of Malchus probably. I think that's the source of all paradoxes in Malchus. That's my feeling. But it brings here the words of David HaMelech speaking about Malchus. And his definition, David HaMelech is defined by Anis Tefillah. I am prayer. That's Malchus. It says that the lower lights are always calling to the supernal lights. That's Malchus, the calling out constantly. And that's Libi Chalal B'Kirbi. That's a vacuum within. That's your heart. You make your heart vacuum, totally open to be filled only with godliness. Lies Kli Reikon, to be an empty vessel. Machzik. That's what contains Hamshachas Erein Seif Baruch Hu, the drawing down the infinite light of God. Because it says that godliness is only revealed in someone who's battle to him. The Metzias Lagamri. He has no volition of his own. That is so powerful. Don't make your own decisions, right? Defer to higher sources and don't have anything to do with leadership. That's the misunderstanding. That perhaps is the secret of the misunderstanding of the Chalal. The wrong way. That's do not desecrate. The vacuousness is a desecration. But there's a vacuousness that is making you a vessel to hold. And I just want, you can't see my hands, right? But think of the menorah, right? It even says, Rashi brings down, it's a case Alexandria or something like that. It says it's a type of Alexandrian vessel that was on an angle. And they're put upside down. Menorah. I think that's going the opposite way of the menorah. You spread out light. You pour out a cup. You receive. Okay, it's the whole idea of menorah is to spread out. It's not, but you see that that idea also is there in the cups, but they're going the other way because we spill out the cups. Okay, that's also a powerful idea, and it brings down the roaring lion in here. That's what tefillah is, and you from below to above. We're the dot below. Okay, it's too much. I don't have time to deal with this properly. I'll just be overwhelmed. Maybe tomorrow. I already have my share worked out. One, just to touch on the idea of what is the punchline. Okay, what's the purpose of this necklace that has pierced through to allow the chut, this ray, this line to be drawn, this beam, this pole to be drawn through the midst of everything from one extreme to the other. The katza ela katza in Hebrew. Yaakov's quality, yud akev, putting the yud into the heel. The ultimate, the yud is like Arzaru Latzadik. It's like the yud. Pesach es yadecha. Open up your yuds. Yadecha, your hand. Where did the yuds come out of Yosef? What is the shape of a yud, right? Where did it come out of Yosef? Out of his hands, out of his fingers, tips. That was a sublimation that you can't fathom. Clawing through marble stone floors or whatever, and digging into your fingertips into the earth so that there could be some kind of malchus to receive, some kind of receptacle. That act, that you overcoming such dissonance and friction and passion, that the reward for that was ultimately he did find his besherter. He found his soulmate. And he had 2 tribes. It was still productive. There was some, maybe he shouldn't have put himself in that situation and just trusted in Hashem. Yosef is punished horribly for not trusting enough in Hashem, right? 2 years in jail just because he said, look, when you get out of prison, put in a good word for me with the king. That caused him 2 years because he was so holy that he shouldn't have even done that. And that's really weird. That's like Moshe Rabbeinu didn't go into the land. That was a mistake in the Raglan, was not to go into the land, but he shouldn't have used the world, the mechanisms at his disposal, use the resources in the world to seek his own freedom. That's so weird. You're not supposed to rely on a miracle. The Rebbe has a sikha about that. I read that like years ago, and it just blew me away. I think in the context of that sikha, the Rebbe says, today, so close to Mashiach coming, God is not only going to fill the vessels that you make so that you play a major role by making a vessel. But of course, you have to make a vessel, kosher vessel. You have to do everything according to Torah. But God will even help you do that. God will animate you even to make the vessel to contain. And that is a powerful idea. Okay, but in that context, the Rebbe is speaking about the faith that Yosef had. He's tzaddik at that level. And presumably that kayak is connected now with how do we accomplish such a thing where God makes our vessels. God, therefore, because of Yosef was such a tzaddik, he merited to find his besherter in impossible. Ervas haaretz, all of a sudden, a Jewish woman comes. How does it happen? Impossible. Someone show me how that's possible. Someone show me the medrash, okay? I will humbly whatever to you. Find me a medrash that connects how Dinah's daughter becomes his wife. Find me that medrash. Good morning to you. Find me such a thing. Okay, I guess that's all the time we have. 10:30. If I make it to 11:30, it's an hour. Davening should be an hour and a half. Okay, should get up at 6 in the morning. Do all your stupid things, then learn. Take a mikvah. Have a coffee and whatever you need to make you alive, whatever vitamin C's you have to take to make you alive. Be healthy. If you have to eat, whatever, eat then, okay? But be a warrior, okay? That's the energy. Okay, I'm going to read you another line, okay? I can't resist. Pine kel harisha, okay? It speaks about hakel kel Yaakov. If you ever speak about Yaakov, what's the power of Yaakov? It's tefillah. Okay, it says Esav had the sword, Yaakov had tefillah, and it's shas krava. Davening is a war, but our war is done with our lips. Okay, and I found that verse again about the crimson, the scarlet thread or tongue of scarlet, Oh my goodness, that's another thing that I found. And how could, that's gvura, that's red, that's gvura. But it's really gvura shebechesed, okay? There's chesed associated with it. Because silk comes from a telas, a worm. She'ein kan ela befiv. Oh, she'ein keiche ela befiv, whose power is in its mouth. That's why the verse in Shir Shirim that we quoted before, we didn't give it enough time, I know. Okay, where is it here? Goodness, it had that verse. Oh, here it is. Your lips are like a thread or a tongue of scarlet, of crimson. In midvarcha nava, and your words are comely or beautiful. And the word midbar is there. So that's, okay, we spoke about that the other day. Midbar, speech. How it's associated with other, but it's not thought itself. It's not, you know, okay, we spoke that before. So it's the worm, the humility allows, being the worm, that's the silk. That's the gvura shebechesed. It's the gvura is the self-constraint, realizing, I mean, David Malk said he's a worm, not a man. That's the worm that makes the silk, the crimson, the gvura shebechesed. That, it says here, associated with speech, dikduke seifrim. That's where he says, that's the Torah coming through the lips of the Chachamim, the sages. That's the whole, okay, incredible yin yang there, okay? That's the real extreme. Okay, but I wanted to read something else. That just reminded me of Kel Kel Yaikev. It says the first time Kel without a Vav, Kuf Lamed, and then it says Kel with a Vav. Okay, what's the difference? The first one is missing a Vav because that's the aspect of Tefillah which it represents, going from below to above. Vav means drawing down, okay? That's the... Okay. Not enough time. Every moment is precious, right? The mornings are so precious. When your mind's awake and active and you're just reveling in Torah. I was made fun of for using the word delving into Torah when I was at the cottage. But I mean revel in the Torah. I mean much more than delve. Revel in it. Delving is your process that leads you to revel in it. Once you've gotten there, you've delved into the Torah, that's what makes you roar in Tefillah. Okay, that's what it's talking about here. That's what the fire from below to above. Okay, we think, it says how many times in a Maimar, if you see translated from below to above, above to below, so boring. Think about what it means. Don't use those expressions if it's going to make people bored. Talk about fire because that's what it is. You cannot make the most powerful thing boring. It says here, a love of kriris. Where I think I highlighted that. It's Ava Bekriris. Cold love. But what is tefillah? What's the first? Kel Kel Yaakov, the voice of Yaakov. Arya Yishag, roaring lion. Look it up, Google a lion, okay? I'm posting things of what? The jellyfish? It's a fascinating world God made. God made the jewelry also, Reish Ter. He made the Lamborghini too, if that's what you're into. It's a segula. Oh, okay, the Rebbe explained what a segula is here, the Alter Rebbe. Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. I don't have time to go into it. Okay, I'm gonna, segula, okay, segula, treasure nation. What does it mean a treasure? It's so beautiful. I haven't tied all these ideas together, but that's this mimer. Segula, the segul is a segula, it's a treasure. Segula, the treasured nation, is that Hashem chose us. He chose us in a way that's way beyond what we appear now as. He sees us in our perfection. He sees us as we are, as treasures. That's the Alu b'machshava, Yisrael Alu b'machshava. We went up in his thought, in perfection. That's the Meraglim. They lived in a perfect world of visualization. I talk about visualization. Yes, it has a place. That's what allows us when we make our lives in tune. Okay, and when we kaven Yerushalayim shel matot, Yerushalayim shel maila, the supernal Yerushalayim is drawn down. Jerusalem above is in line. It's mekaven. We speak about here in Kavanas Tefillah. Oh my goodness, there's so much in this. Okay, this is what I just did while I was dealing with 6 crises this morning. And I'm making another one by not rushing through it. But it says Kavanas Tefillah here. Oh my goodness. from Bechinas Kil Yaakov, Shakil Me'era Kavana, the voice arouses the Kavana, and that the voice, okay, it speaks about it in other times. There's a malach called Samach Nun Dalid Lamed. Okay, pronounce that. I don't know if you're allowed to pronounce it. That's an angel that takes the stones of your words, of your tefillah, the actual voice, and makes it into God's crown. Okay, and think about how beautiful if a malach is this angel's entire life is making crowns for God out of your words. That specifically the physical audible sounds that you utter from your throat or your lips. Okay, the scarlet lips. That's when it's silk. That's when you create silk. That's when you David Melech, Anis Philo, I am prayer. It's when you make yourself into a worm and you don't see yourself as anything great, but you be great because God's great, and therefore you're inspired to praise God. So what does it mean, kavana? It's beautiful, okay? That's what draws the Kil Yaakov, or the Kol Yaakov rather draws the kavana. Did I lose it? Okay, here it is. The kavana in machshavo levada. It's not just thought. Kavana ki'im liyais mechaven. It's focusing like a laser, like crosshairs, seeing a target that you want. Only one thing. One thing. Bekach b'kinas Knesset Yisrael. That's what the Jewish people are. Nikra kavana. They are called kavana. I've never seen that before. The Jewish people, Knesset Yisrael, is called kavana. You have to direct your heart like a sniper's rifle to one target, the infinite. How do you miss that? Because everything else is here just to distract us. That's the guy with the turban jumping up and down when you're trying to shoot that winning basketball. The hoop, right? Chinas bittel. And that we say, that's what it means being the worm. The worm is just a dot of focus. That's where the silk comes out from us, just a dot, and all of a sudden you have a kapata made of silk, fit for a king. That your direction is towards the words, there's nothing like you, Hashem. Nothing compares to you. That's why don't go for the Lamborghini. Don't go for the matchbox. Don't go for even a sand castle. Live in the real castle, the holy castle of God. That's what our target is.